Hello and welcome back to these Advent Reflections. We are on day 12. Today we're going to talk about Boaz and Ruth. This is the time of the judges. The Israelites have already conquered and occupied the promised land. And the judges are a time when before there was a king, but God had raised up a judge to help redeem, help save Israel when they got into trouble. Now Boaz, he was the son of Solomon and Rahab. He was a prominent landowner in the city of Bethlehem. And not just a prominent landowner, but the designated redeemer for his tribe. This meant that he had the responsibility to see to it that if the land got separated from the landowner for whatever reason, it was sold, it was abandoned, his job was to reunite the proper landowner with the land. And that was according to the law of Moses. Now Ruth, she has an interesting story. And you can read all about her in the book of Ruth, which is one of my favorite books in the Old Testament. Ruth's mother-in-law and father-in-law, Naomi and Elimelech, they had left the land of Bethlehem and traveled to Moab in a time of famine. And there, Naomi and Elimelech's two sons married Moabite wives. Ruth was the wife of the younger son. Now in time, the husband of Naomi died, and then short time later, the two sons died. And Naomi, Ruth's mother-in-law, decided that it was time to return to her homeland, to return to Bethlehem. She urged her daughters-in-law to stay in the land of Moab, which was their homeland. The wife of the older son, she decided to stay, but Ruth said no, she was going to be with Naomi. And she said this most beautiful thing: where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your land will become my land. Your people will become my people. Your God will become my God. And so together these two widows, young and old, traveled to Bethlehem. And there they settled, and Boaz was a near kinsman to Naomi's dead husband. And so she sent Ruth to glean from the fields of Boaz. And Boaz knew her because of her association with Naomi. So Boaz, in effect, spread his cloak of protection over Naomi and would not let his field hands harass her in any way. Well, as things developed, Ruth ended up marrying Boaz. And we see in this story how Boaz actually becomes more than a redeemer for his tribe. He extends his generous love to Ruth and Naomi through his protection and seeing in Ruth her true worth. He married her. Now, Ruth and Boaz are both characterized by obedience and humility. Yet it was not the practice, not really lawful for an Israelite to marry someone of a foreign nation. But Boaz saw through that. looked beyond it, in fact, to see Ruth's worth. And Ruth, she definitely showed loyalty to her mother-in-law, Naomi. So we see in Boaz and Ruth obedience to the law, and loyalty, especially on the part of Ruth. But something that really impresses me about Boaz is his generous love. When he saw Ruth, knowing her association with Naomi, the wife of his dead near kinsman, he spread his mantle of protection over Ruth and Naomi. That leads me to think of almsgiving. Almsgiving is one of the three pillars of Advent and Lent, those pillars being prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. We talked quite a bit about prayer, a little bit about fasting, so today I want to think about almsgiving. Almsgiving is showing that generous love to others. It could be to the poor, it could be to our parish, it could be to other institutions that depend on our charity. So today, let's think about how we can show generous love to those around us and to the greater community in which we live. Thanks, and see you tomorrow.